Right now, as you are watching this video, bombs are falling on Tehran. Not in a movie. Not in a simulation. Right now. March 2026. The United States of America is at war with Iran. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. This is not like Iraq. This is not like Afghanistan. This is something we have never seen before in our lifetimes. And the part that should terrify every single American watching this? Nobody is talking about the real threat. Not the missiles. Not the drones. Not even the dead. The real threat is what happens next. And what it means for you. Stay with me. Because in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through everything. How this war started. What's happening on the ground right now? Who's winning? Who's losing? And most importantly, what nobody in mainstream media is willing to say out loud. Let's go back, just a few months. December 2025. Iran is on fire. And I don't mean militarily, I mean literally on fire from the inside. Massive anti-government protests are erupting across the country, the biggest since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And what's driving them? The Iranian economy is in total freefall. The Iranian rial, their currency, is collapsing. Food prices are skyrocketing. People can't afford bread. And millions of Iranians are in the streets screaming one thing. Asterisk, regime change. Asterisk. Now, here's something the mainstream media didn't cover enough. The United States wasn't just watching those protests. According to U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Washington engineered a dollar shortage inside Iran, deliberately crashing the rial, to fuel those protests. Think about that. America was financially destabilizing Iran from the inside, months before a single bomb dropped. And when the Iranian government responded to protesters with massacres, killing thousands, President Trump drew a line. On January 2, 2026, Trump issued a warning that sent shockwaves through the Middle East. Asterisk, lock and loaded. Asterisk. He said if Iran killed peaceful protesters, the United States would intervene militarily. But nobody believed him. Nobody thought he'd actually do it. Then came February 28, 2026. And everything changed. 6:27 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. February 28, 2026. The first bombs fall on Tehran. Operation Epic Fury has begun. The United States and Israel, in a coordinated joint strike, launch one of the most massive military campaigns the Middle East has ever seen. The primary target? The Iranian government's leadership compound, a heavily fortified complex in the heart of Tehran. Within hours, Iranian state media goes silent. And then, the news the entire world was not prepared for. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who had ruled Iran with an iron fist for over 3 decades, is dead. Killed in a US-Israeli strike on Tehran. Let that sink in. The Supreme Leader of Iran, assassinated, on day 1. But Khamenei wasn't alone. His daughter. His son-in-law. His grandchild. His daughter-in-law. All killed in the same strike. Multiple senior Iranian officials, gone within hours. The head of Iran's Emergency Command Intelligence. The head of Khamenei's military office. Senior commanders of the Revolutionary Guard. And Iran's military, according to Iran's own foreign ministry, lost control of several of its units, which began operating on old standing orders with no central command. Iran was not just attacked. Iran was decapitated. Let me bring you to right now. March 7, 2026. Day 8 of the war. People in Tehran are waking up to the sound of explosions. Not occasional explosions. Constant explosions. Al Jazeera reporters on the ground say the bombardment in Iran's capital is more intense than anything they've seen since this war began. Residential buildings. car parks, petrol stations. All hit. And the numbers? They're staggering. More than 3,000 Iranian targets have been struck by U.S. forces since February 28. The Israeli military has carried out 2,500 strikes, destroying 80% of Iran's air defense systems. 43 Iranian warships, destroyed. Iran's Air Force, according to President Trump himself, knocked out. Iran's Navy, gone. Now, here's what the numbers mean in human terms. At least 1,332 people have been killed inside Iran. And the most heartbreaking detail in all of this, according to UNICEF, at least 181 of those dead are children. 181 children. Including 165 schoolgirls and their staff who were killed in a strike near a military complex in Minab on the very first day of the war. The school was less than 60 meters from the military target. Iran's foreign ministry called it a war crime. CENTCOM said it was investigating. Evidence assembled by the New York Times suggests the attack was carried out by American forces. This is the real face of war. Not the graphics on TV. Not the press conferences. Children. Here's where this gets truly dangerous, and where most American media isn't giving you the full picture. This war is not contained to Iran. It has already spread across the entire Middle East, and it is pulling the whole world in. Let's go country by country. Lebanon. Hezbollah, Iran's most powerful proxy, entered the conflict on March 2. They began firing rockets into northern Israel. Israel responded immediately, expanding strikes into Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah strongholds in Beirut's southern suburbs. Over 200 people have been killed in Lebanon. More than 95,000 displaced, running from their homes in the middle of the night. Bahrain. An Iranian missile hit a state-run oil refinery. Residential buildings destroyed. Iran's armed forces launched drones directly targeting U.S. military bases in Kuwait. One U.S. soldier, Private First Class Marzan, killed in a drone attack at Port Shuaibah, Kuwait. On March 1, 2026. He was one of 6 American servicemen who have died in this war. Qatar. Massive explosions heard across Doha. Iranian missiles and drones targeted the Qatari capital, where the United States has one of its most critical air bases in the entire Middle East. UAE. The UAE's air defenses intercepted more than 120 Iranian drones and multiple ballistic missiles. Saudi Arabia. 3 drones intercepted east of Riyadh. Ballistic missiles targeting a military base south of the capital shot down. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, struck by Iranian drones. The State Department has now ordered the evacuation of non-emergency staff from Saudi Arabia, Oman and Cyprus. Iraq. Iran-backed militias launched a drone at the Erbil Arjan Rotana Hotel, a hotel frequented by foreign nationals. A fireball. Debris everywhere. And in a detail that should alarm every tech investor watching this. Iran targeted Amazon Web Services data centers in Bahrain and the UAE, because of Amazon's support for U.S. military and intelligence activities. Those facilities remain offline. The war is not just hitting soldiers. It's hitting infrastructure, economies, technology. And it's hitting Americans living abroad. Over 20,000 Americans have already evacuated the Middle East. The U.S. government is now arranging charter flights for those who couldn't get out on their own. You might be thinking, okay, this is a war happening far away. What does it have to do with me? Everything. Let me explain. There's a stretch of water between Iran and Oman called the Strait of Hormuz. It's only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. And through that tiny stretch of water flows 20% of all the oil consumed by the entire world. Every single day. The Iranian military has confirmed, they will target any US or Israeli ship that attempts to pass through. Tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Effectively, stopped. Ship owners are refusing to send vessels through because the insurance risk alone is catastrophic. The result? Oil prices have surged to their highest level since September 2023, now sitting at $91 per barrel. And climbing. The White House was asked directly, when will the strait be safe for oil tankers? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, and I quote, "I don't want to commit to a timeline. No timeline. No plan. No guarantee." And the economic ripple effects are already being felt globally. Asian stock markets cratered. South Korea's Kospi index plunged more than 12% in a single day. Japan's Nikkei fell nearly 5%. Taiwan, Hong Kong, all dropped sharply. Here's the devastating irony of this situation. Who is benefiting from the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz? Russia. The Kremlin confirmed that demand for Russian energy products has seen a significant increase since the war began. With Middle Eastern oil stuck, the world is turning to Russian oil. The same Russia that is simultaneously providing Iran with intelligence on U.S. military positions. America is at war with Iran. Russia is supplying Iran with targeting data. And Russia is profiting from the economic chaos the war is creating. This is not a coincidence. This is strategy. The first 100 hours of Operation Epic Fury cost the United States $3.7 billion, nearly $900 million per day. And most of that spending? Not budgeted for. Trump has already said that defense manufacturers will quadruple weapons production to sustain this campaign. Your tax dollars. Your economy. Your gas prices. This war is already in your living room. You just might not have noticed yet. Let's talk about the strategy. Because what Donald Trump is attempting here is either one of the boldest geopolitical gambits in modern American history, or one of the most dangerous miscalculations. Trump's demand is simple. 3 words. Unconditional surrender. No negotiation. No deal. No halfway measures. Iran must completely capitulate, or the bombs keep falling. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian responded directly. We will never capitulate. Trump has gone even further, saying he intends to play a direct role in selecting Iran's next leader. He has already declared that Khamenei's son Mojtaba, widely seen as the likely successor, is an unacceptable choice. The United States of America is trying to pick who rules Iran. Now, is there a scenario where this works? Iran's missile capabilities have declined sharply. 90% fewer ballistic missile attacks than day one. Drone attacks down 83%. Iran's navy, destroyed. Air Force, crippled. U.S. Central Command is striking targets 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over 50,000 U.S. troops and 200 fighter aircraft are involved in this operation. By pure military metrics, the U.S. and Israel are winning. But here's the problem. Iran's president says they will never surrender. The Iranian people, despite everything, have historically rallied around their country when it is attacked by a foreign power. The Senate tried to stop this war. A war powers resolution, brought by Senators Tim Kaine and Rand Paul, to force Trump to pull back. It failed 47 to 53. Only one Republican, Rand Paul, voted to stop the war. Trump has no congressional check on this operation. And the White House said the campaign could last 4 to 6 weeks. The Pentagon refused to give any timeline at all. What happens after 4 to 6 weeks of $900 million a day? What happens if Iran doesn't surrender? What happens if Russia becomes more directly involved? These are the questions with no good answers right now. I've saved the most important question for last. Iran has been pursuing nuclear capability for decades. When the supreme leader was killed on day 1, along with key nuclear program officials, including the head of Iran's Organization of Defensive Innovation and Research, many wondered, did the US and Israel destroy Iran's nuclear program in those first hours. The port city of Bushehr was struck. Bushehr is home to Iran's nuclear reactor. The UN nuclear watchdog chief stated, as of this recording, that no evidence has been found that nuclear facilities have been hit. But the situation is evolving by the hour. And here is the darkest scenario that nobody wants to say out loud. A cornered, desperate Iran, with its leadership dead, its military crumbling, its economy destroyed, facing unconditional surrender from the most powerful military alliance in history. What does a government do when it has absolutely nothing left to lose? History has an answer to that question. And it's not a comfortable one.